Story 1. Mother-in-law's invasive behavior. I recently discovered that my mother-in-law, Mill, was secretly snapping photos of me breastfeeding my infant son from odd angles and sharing them online, while also body-shaming me and claiming I'm preventing her from bonding with her grandson. I'm seeking advice because this situation is driving me up the wall. I'm 37F, and my family has been staying at my husband's 36M parents' house, 59F and 59M for a week, with another week left before we return home to prepare our kids for school. My Mill and I have never really clicked, but she's been putting on a friendly facade since I gave birth to our fourth child, a boy, 4 months ago. That act seems to have worn off, as she's been pushing my buttons since we arrived, rifling through my belongings, complaining that I should switch to bottle feeding so she can have a turn feeding her baby, and so on. I've been holding my tongue because my husband cherishes his family, and this is one of the few times we get to see his siblings. But at the end of the first week, Mill stormed into the kitchen during breakfast while the kids were playing outside, demanding we talk. I racked my brain, wondering what rule I'd unintentionally broken or how I'd upset her this time. She slammed her phone on the counter and started scrolling through photos of me and the baby, photos she'd taken without my knowledge. Most were blurry or shot from strange angles, like she'd held her phone low in her lap. One was even taken through a slightly open bedroom door. I confronted her, asking why she was sneaking around like a creep instead of asking for help to take photos I'd approve of. I don't want my son's face all over her social media. I always cover his face with emojis in my own posts. She snapped that she didn't want to use those silly stickers on his face and complained that I never put him down long enough for her to get a clear shot of him alone. I often wear him in a carrier or let him nap on me, and she said I was ruining her photos by looking enormous and awkward. For context, I'm on the heavier side, 53 and 230 pounds, and these low-angle shots exaggerate my double chin, with the baby usually nestled against me, so the photos are mostly unflattering images of me with just a glimpse of his head or limbs. I told her I wouldn't tolerate this behavior, and since she chose to handle it this way, she's not getting any solo photo sessions with my son now. My husband supports me, stepping in to block her when he catches her trying to sneak more photos or distracting her so I can slip away. But some people think I'm overreacting. My father-in-law says Mill has a right to photograph her grandson and that it's not her fault I'm self-conscious about my weight. My husband's twin sister has been dismissive, acting like I'm being overly sensitive, saying I've always been touchy about my appearance. Even my own sister, when I vented to her, suggested I was blowing this out of proportion, pointing out that I didn't care about Mill's weight comments when I was lighter, so why now? No one seems to hear me when I say it's not about her body shaming. It's about her sneaking around like a stalker because she doesn't respect my boundaries about photographing my child. She refuses to follow my rule about covering his face and can't take him from my arms for her own photos, so she's resorted to this creepy behavior. In one photo, I'm breastfeeding, which feels like a violation. Am I overreacting? Is this as weird as I think? Comment 1, you could report her photos on social media as inappropriate content involving a minor. The sneaky nature of the photos might work in your favor. I'm sorry people aren't respecting your boundaries, but it's great that your husband is supportive. Also, you're absolutely allowed to call out body shaming and demand it stop. Older generations often think they get a free pass for this kind of thing. Op's response. I hadn't considered reporting her photos, but if they show up on her social media, I'll definitely do that to get them removed. I've told her to stop commenting on my body, especially around my kids, and she's been slightly better about not saying anything in front of them. Her remarks to me or my husband in private sting less, and I can usually brush them off. Comment 2, that's incredibly creepy. Her baby, that's delusional. I couldn't handle that op. She sounds obsessed, and since my kids are her only grandkids, she's fixated. I'm relieved to know I'm not overreacting and that this is bizarre. If my husband weren't so close to his siblings, we'd never visit. Edit 1. Thank you all for validating that I'm not crazy. I hadn't even thought about leaving early, but I was ready to just endure the rest of the visit since we only brought one car. I'm packing my things and the babies, and when my husband returns from fishing with his dad and brother, I'll ask him to drive us home. I'll have some peace and quiet to prepare for the kids' school year. Edit 2. Husband's back early from fishing because his dad lost his pole and they had no spares. We've been texting all morning and he's agreed to take me and the baby home. We'll discuss how to handle future visits with his parents on the drive. Update, August 2, 2025. I wasn't planning to update, but things escalated after we got home. My husband returned to his parents' house without me and the baby, and his mother started complaining about how dramatic and possessive I am, saying I'm keeping her baby from her and spoiling the trip. My husband's sister, Sil, egged her on, claiming I'm blocking others from bonding with the baby. My husband told them to back off and said he needed to have a serious talk with his mother after the kids went out for lunch with his dad. Mill brushed him off, but they talked, and my husband made it clear that we set the rules for our kids. He told her that her sneaky behavior showed she couldn't be trusted, and that she and his dad needed to stop commenting on my weight. This sparked a nearly 3-hour argument, only pausing when his dad returned with the kids. Mill cried, claiming I'm trying to ruin her relationship with her son. They've never been close, and that she just wants to share photos of her baby with her friends and family. My husband pointed out that she could have asked for help to take photos with the baby's face covered, but she and his dad insisted they shouldn't need permission in their own home. My husband countered that it's our child, not theirs, and that's why I left. If they want to see the baby, they'll need to visit our house and follow our rules. The argument dragged on until his dad returned. For the rest of the day, Mill muttered under her breath and ignored our older kids, even when our 5-year-old begged for her attention. My husband ignored her, playing games with the kids and his dad while Mill and Sil sulked. That night, while my husband was having drinks with his brother, he noticed Mill had posted all the photos of me on her social media, captioning them with my name and a jab about me hogging her grandson. In the comments, she and her sisters mocked my appearance, hair, I'm a redhead, and selfishness. Some photos even showed me breastfeeding with my top open. My husband was furious, demanding she remove them. When she teased him about not being ashamed of his heavy wife, he grabbed her phone, deleted the posts and photos, and tossed it on the counter. He told her he was leaving the next morning. She yelled that he was unfairly siding with me, but he said it's about us as a team, not me versus her. I was out of the loop, dealing with a cold and cleaning the house. My husband called me from his car, upset but calming down, saying he'd be home early with the kids. We went to bed, and the next morning he arrived at 6 a.m. with our 14, 10, and 5-year-olds. After breakfast, the kids went off to play or visit friends, and we discussed setting stricter boundaries. No more visits to his parents' house, and if they visit us and misbehave, they're out. Mill has been bombarding his phone, but he's ignoring her while helping me clean. He also jokingly said her photos gave him a new appreciation for my cute round face. I married a gem. Story 2. Ex-wife's boyfriend's accusations and vandalism. My ex-wife's new boyfriend accused me of financial abuse for helping cover her bills so she could spend more time with our kids. Then, after she ended things with him, he got drunk and smashed my windows with bricks. My ex and I split 3 years ago amicably, realizing we'd become co-parents rather than partners. We have 2 kids, 13 and 10. My ex was an infrastructure engineer, and I ran a trucking business. When the kids were born, we decided she'd stay home as my business was thriving. I later bought another truck and a van, managing operations from home. When our youngest started school, she returned to work part-time, but her time out of the workforce meant she had to start over professionally. Eventually, I sold the business for a good profit and began freelancing as a developer. I studied computer science in college. We inherited property and money, so we owned our home mortgage-free. When we divorced, I moved into an inherited house. We split assets evenly and shared the kids' expenses. Since my ex had to work full-time to support herself, she missed time with the kids, who stayed with me 3 days a week and every other weekend. Feeling guilty that her career suffered from her time as a stay-at-home mom, I offered to cover half her bills until the kids went to college, so she wouldn't dip into savings meant for their inheritance. She hesitated but agreed, as it benefited the kids. Things were fine until she started dating a guy we knew years ago. They reconnected, and she was happy, even considering letting him move in. The kids liked him, and I trusted her judgment. I told her if he moved in, she might not need my financial help. She agreed, suggesting we put the money into the kids' savings and pocket money accounts, which I thought was great. But when her boyfriend, Lotto, found out, he lost it, accusing me of controlling her through money and calling it financial abuse. Some friends even suggested he had a point, hinting at jealousy. I'm confused. What do you think? Comment, I don't get this setup. Does she own her house mortgage-free? Is she working? Her boyfriend shouldn't have to pay her personal expenses. Ops response. She owns the house we lived in during our marriage mortgage-free. I traded my share of it for her share of a house I inherited from my dad. She works part-time when the kids are with me. I assume she's asked him to contribute to bills, especially since his moving in affects her council tax discount. Most couples share living costs. Edit. We have 50-50 custody, so I'm not obligated to pay anything, but I cover half the kids' activities to ensure they don't miss out. I offered to help with her bills so the kids could have quality time with her without financial stress. Our inherited assets and business sale proceeds are in long-term investments for the kids' future, so we avoid using them for daily expenses. My ex came over for a chat, revealing Lotto didn't tell her his landlord was evicting him to sell his place. When she brought up him contributing financially, he questioned why, since I was helping. She told him he'd need to pitch in if he lived there and she'd stop accepting my help. He's now telling everyone I'm a jealous ex controlling her with money. Update 1, thanks for the feedback. Here's what happened last week. Lotto was being evicted but didn't tell my ex. My best friend who works with him said he's on thin ice at his job for poor attendance. My ex, Lotto, and I met to talk. We agreed he'd need to contribute financially and help with the kids if he moved in. I clarified that my bill money would stop if he moved in, but I'd continue paying it, and any extra would go to the kids' accounts. I trust my ex to handle this. While I was on vacation with the kids, my house alarm went off. My neighbor found a smashed window and my car's windows destroyed. Security footage showed Lotto drunk throwing bricks. After our meeting, my ex had laid out expectations, and when he reacted poorly, she ended it. Days later, he vandalized my property. I reported it to the police, sent the footage, and they caught him driving drunk. He's in custody. Edit 1, some suggested I tell my ex to be more careful, but I trust her judgment. We were both shocked by Lotto's actions. Edit 2, the house repairs will cost about £7,000, and my classic car restoration project is damaged with costs TBD. I owe my neighbor for her help. Comment 1, some people self-destruct. I feel for him as he has PTSD from his time in Iraq, but I was there too, and you have to take responsibility for your healing. Ops response. I've known Lotto for 25 years. We served together in the army. Never expected this from him. I'm stunned. Comment 2, when he's sober, file for criminal damage and make him pay for repairs. Ops response. Here you don't press charges. I've reported criminal damage and the police will investigate. With the evidence, they'll likely charge him. I can't refuse to support prosecution, but they might proceed anyway. Update 2. Back from vacation, getting new windows installed. The police charged Lotto with criminal damage, treating it as domestic violence. He was held overnight, appeared in court, and the case was sent to Crown Court. He's on bail, barred from contacting us or coming near our homes, and must stay at a bail hostel. He faces potential jail time, and I hope he gets help for his issues.